Okay, so this is the second video. Um, I hope that you've seen my previous video on chapter 7 questions, and obviously this is MGTS 103 notes. And in this video, I want to look up how to use the t-table. As you will see in chapter 8 and chapter 9, and if you've seen the slides, we have to use the t-table for some of the questions. And in this video, as I said, I just want to focus on how to look up the t-table. So the t-table you will see is the one that follows immediately after the z-table. So let's keep going down, and here is the t-table. Okay, so couple of things about the t-table before we get into the two questions that I want to look at. One is that if you see the z-table, what we have is on the top and on the left we have the z-scores, and then what we have in the body of the table is the probability. In the t-table it is reversed, and what we have on the top is the probability. Okay, so for example, this area in blue is this probability, and what we have on the left hand side is what is called as degrees of freedom, while the body of the table are the t-scores. So first let us see what is degrees of freedom. So degrees of freedom for t-tables, degrees of freedom are equal to n minus 1, where n is your sample size. Now suppose you are given a sample size of 16, so n is 16, so your degrees of freedom will be 16 minus 1 equals 15. Okay, now another thing that you would see is something called as alpha and alpha by 2, and we'll also get into alphas in more detail when I do the chapter 8 video. So suppose alpha is given to you as 0.05, then alpha by 2 is 0.025, just as an example. So what is alpha by 2 is this blue area. Okay, so this is alpha by 2, which is 0.025. Now, so going back to the question, let us say your sample size is 16, alpha by 2 is 0.025. So what is the t-score? So the way to get the t-score then is you will go to n minus 1, which is 15 degrees of freedom, and you would go to the column that says 0.025, so that is 2.131. So your answer is 2.131. Okay, so this is how you look up the t-table. Now let us solve a couple of questions. So what I would suggest is kindly go to chapter 8 slides and look up slide number 11 and slide number 44 and 46, and what we will do is we will do question number 11 and question number 12. Okay, so let's get into those questions. Let me erase this. Okay, yeah, so we will do these questions. Okay, so let's go to question number 11 first. It says for a t distribution with 16 degrees of freedom, so degrees of freedom are already given to us, 16 degrees of freedom, so degrees of freedom are 16. Find the area or probability in each region. So the first part is to the right of 2.120. So 16 degrees of freedom means we are only going to look at this row. So 16 degrees of freedom to the right of 2.120. So 2.120 to the right is this area. So the answer is 0.025. Okay, so A is 0.025, which is basically 16 degrees of freedom, and then to the right of 2.120 means if this is 2.120, then how much is the area here? And that is equal to 0.025. So that's the answer. Okay, so let's go to part B now. Now, in order to create some space, let me just erase this. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so part B, to the left of 1.337. So it says to the left of 1.337. Okay, just going to erase this more so I have more space here. Okay, so part B, maybe I'll create a little more space here. Okay, so part B says to the left of 1.337. Okay, to the left of 1.337. Now, remember the middle number is 0, and so this is 1.337. To the left of 1.337 means we are looking at this area. Okay, now for 16 degrees of freedom, so I'm just going to go down a little bit. So for 16 degrees of freedom, 1.337 is here, and we want the area to the left. So area to the right is 0.10. So if this is 0.10, then how much is this? This is 1 minus 0.10, which is equal to 0.90, and that is the answer for part B. Okay, then let's go to part C. Part C says to the left of negative 1.746. To the left of negative 1.746. Okay, so let me first draw here. Now this is a negative number, so negative 1.746 is going to be here, negative 1.746, and we want this area. Okay, so left of this is the same area as to the right of 1.746, so the both areas are going to be the same, right, by symmetry. So 16 degrees of freedom 1.746 is here, and to the right is 0.05. So if this is 0.05, this is also going to be 0.05, and that is the answer. Okay, part D, to the right of 2.583. Okay, let me erase this so I have more space to work here. Okay, so it says part D, to the right of 2.583. So again, this is 0. So 2.583 is here. And so area to the right of 2.583 is what you're looking for. So 16 degrees of freedom, 2.583 is here. So area to the right is 0.01. So this area is 0.01, and that is the answer to part D. Okay, part E is interesting. It says between negative 2.120 and positive 2.10. So let's do that. Part E. So this is 0, negative 2.120 and positive 2.120, and we are looking at this area. Okay, so the way to do this is we go to 16 degrees of freedom and look for 2.120. That is here. And so if you go on the top is 0.025. So this is 0.025, which means this is also 0.025, which means area in the center is 1 minus twice 0.025, which will come to 0.95. Okay, so that is the answer to part D. Now let's look at part E, which is actually pretty similar to part D. So I'm going to just retain these numbers or the figure that I need for part E. Part E says between negative 1.746 and positive 1.746. So this is negative 1.746 and this is positive 1.746. So 16 degrees of freedom again, and 1.746 is here. So the area is on, the probability is on the top. So 0.05, so this is 0.05. That means this is also 0.05, the area to the left. So the area in the center is 1 minus twice 0.05. So that is going to be 1 minus 0.10, and that answer is 0.90. Okay, so that is question 11, all parts, and now we know how to look up the area. So now let's go to question number 12 on slide 46. Okay, and let's do that one. So I'm just going to erase some of these, whatever I can erase. Just give me a minute here. Okay, so let's do part A. Question number 12. It says find the t values for each of the following cases. Part A is upper tail area of 0.025 with 12 degrees of freedom. So upper tail area means we are looking on the right hand side. So upper tail area. So this area is 0.025 with 12 degrees of freedom. So 12 degrees of freedom is here. Upper area 0.025 is here. So the answer is, the t-score is 2.179. So this is 2.179, and that is the answer to part A. Okay, let's do part B now. It says lower tail area of 0.05 with 50 degrees of freedom. So 50 degrees of freedom are on the next page. So let's go there on the next page. Here we are, and it says lower tail area of 0.05. So lower tail area means area to the left. So the left area is 0.05. Now note that the central value is 0. So obviously we're going to get a negative score now. And 50 degrees of freedom is here, and 0.05. So this is the number, right? 0.05 area. So this area is 0.05, and this t-score is 1.676. So by symmetry, this is going to be 1.676, sorry. So that is the answer to part B. Okay, part C is upper tail area of 0.01 with 30 degrees of freedom. So 30 degrees of freedom are on the previous page. Let's go there. Okay, so it says upper tail area of 0.01. Okay, so 30 upper tail area means area to the right, and that it's given as 0.01. 30 degrees of freedom. Now where is 0.01? So let's go to the top of the table. So this is 0.2, 0.1, 0.05, 0.025, so 0.01. So this is column number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So column number 5. So let's go down to 30 degrees of freedom and column 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the t-score. So the answer is 2.457. Okay, let's go to part D now, where it says where 90% of the area falls between these two values with 25 degrees of freedom. Okay, so that is interesting. It says 90% of the area falls between these two values. So that means central value 0. So we have to find these t-scores such that the area in the middle is 0.90. So if the area in the middle is 0.90, that means this area to the right and this area to the left are together equal to 0.1, which means this is 0.1 divided by 2, so 0.05, and similarly area to the left is also 0.05. So this area is 0.05. So now we have to look up the t-scores such that area to the right is 0.05 and with 25 degrees of freedom. So 25 degrees of freedom are here. Let's go to the top of the table to see where is 0.05 as an area. So that is 1, 2, and 3, column number 3. So column number 3, 25 degrees of freedom, so 1, 2, and 3. So it is 1.708. So that means this is 1.708 and this is negative 1.708. So that means the area between these two values, between negative 1.708 and positive 1.708, area in the middle is 0.90 or 90%. Okay. Now last part E is also similar, and as I can see that is related with 45 degrees of freedom. So let's go to the next page. Okay, it says where 95% of the area falls between these two values with 45 degrees of freedom. So 95% of the area. So that means the area in the middle now is 0.95. So if the area in the middle is 0.95, that means this area and this area, if you add them, they should be equal to 0.05 because the total area is 1, right? So this is 0.05 divided by 2 is 0.025, and similarly this is going to be 0.025. Okay, so we have to find the t-scores such that the area on the right is 0.025 with 45 degrees of freedom. So 45 degrees of freedom are here. Now let's go again to the top of the table to see where is 0.025. So that is 1, 2, 3, column number 4 is 0.025, 45 degrees of freedom. So the t-score is 2.014. So the answer is 2.014 and negative 2.014. So the area between negative 2.014 and positive 2.014 will be 0.95 or 95%. Okay, so with these two questions, question 11 and question 12, basically we understand how to look up the t-table. I hope this is useful for you. My next video is going to be on the chapter 8 slides. Okay, thank you.